Hiya 10. I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a relaxing weekend. Not that weekends ever feel like weekends anymore. They all tend to blur into one, but I hope you've had a relaxing couple of days off. Thank you very much to those of you excuse me, who I spoke to on Thursday at the Parents Consultation Day. That was really, really positive. I came away from that feeling absolutely exhausted, but it was a really, really nice day. And it was really, really nice to get to speak to a lot of you and a lot of your parents. So I hope you're all doing well, following on from that. So today we are going to move on from exercise and diet, and we're going to start looking at things that can have a negative impact on your health. So I'm not sure how many of you did the exercise plan that I asked you to do. I talked a little bit in the last lesson about how I haven't massively been exercising really, but I have been over the last week. So I have been taking the dog out for a walk every day. We've been taking Dylan out for a walk every day and just letting him run free. And I have also committed to and will start training for hopefully before the end of this week. I don't know when it will be, obviously, but hopefully we'll start training for a 5k to raise some money for Dementia UK in memory of my nan who passed away a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, so that's my kind of plan in terms of exercise. So today we're going to look at drugs and the impact that taking drugs can have on an individual, and then tomorrow we will look at alcohol and smoking and the impact that can have on an individual as well. So just to get you started, you've got 3 minutes and name as many different drugs as you can. Obviously we can't do think, compare, share because we're not in the classroom, but yeah, pause me, 3 minutes, name as many different drugs as you can, and then unpause me when you're ready to continue. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is I've got a tickle in my throat now, it's not coronavirus. So what we're going to look at today is substance abuse. So we're going to look at the types of drugs that are available, the types of impacts that they have on people, and then we're going to look at the short-term and long-term effects, and that will be where you can really start to push yourself for those higher grades. So we will start looking at short-term, long-term effects and how that can affect your POIs, because like I've said to you before, it's really, really important that you link everything back to your POIs, and that is where you're going to get your high grades from in the exam. What I am going to do probably for tomorrow, what I probably will do tomorrow and I will then upload next week, is not a walkthrough, but just a little bit of preparation to do with your exam. So I want to show you how the exam is structured and just kind of walk you through how that exam will look, because it's the same structure every year, and I can kind of teach you how to answer the questions. So I will do that ready for you for next week. Okay, so your first task, very, very simple, paragraph. So you've got the words at the bottom to help you if you need them, but just fill in the blanks about what is a drug. Okay, so pause me and then unpause me when you are done. Forgot that when you pause me, it doesn't mean that I paused the video and had a drink of Pepsi Max. Anyway, so just some questions here for you to think about. So what do you know? So what is the most common drug? What do you think the most common drug is? What drug do you think causes the most drug-related deaths? A youth is arrested every 4 minutes for what related offences in the world? And then what is extremely addictive and its effects are felt within 10 seconds? And again, pause me and then unpause me when you've answered those. So these are your answers. The most common drug is caffeine, and that's found in coffee, in tea, in Pepsi, Red Bull. Okay, so even if you drink coffee during a day or tea during the day, you are drinking a drug. Now, it's not an illegal drug, and there is a big difference between an illegal drug and a legal drug, and obviously caffeine is not illegal. It doesn't impair your ability to do things in the same way that taking cocaine or heroin would, for example. What causes the most drug-related deaths? So tobacco and alcohol. So smoking and drinking is what causes the most tobacco-related effects every year. Youth is arrested every 4 minutes for what related offences in the world? That is alcohol. It would be quite interesting to see how that number has changed currently, because obviously people aren't going out, people aren't drinking. I have said this a few times, it would be interesting to see the impact that having less cars on the road or less traffic on the road, what impact that's had on the number of road traffic accidents or fatalities from road traffic accidents has had. So yeah, so that could be quite interesting to look at. And then cocaine is extremely addictive and its effects are felt within 10 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to send you a task sheet, okay, and it looks like, see if I can get it up, this, so you should be able to see that now, and it's a which drug am I, and then it's got some kind of statements. So many young people have tried me, many other people try very hard to give me up, I am what, and then you've got some words down here that you can use to fill that in. Now you don't need to, you can if you want to, but you don't need to write these sentences out in their entirety. What you can do is just put the numbers next to it and then put the answers next to the number. So for example, if you think number 7 is nicotine, then you write 17, sorry, then you would write 17 nicotine. That's not the answer, so don't write that down. Okay, so yeah, so I will send you that as a separate document on your email this morning, so you can get on with that and have a go at that. Now, once you've done that, what I want you to think about is addiction the only reason that people smoke or use drugs or drink? So have a think about that, okay? And then pause me while you do the task sheet and then your stretch and challenge, and then come back to me when you've done that. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've all unpaused me now and you are back, you've done this worksheet and you've had a look at this stretch and challenge. Now, obviously, it's really, really key that addiction is not the only reason that people use substances, okay? It is predominantly the reason why people use, particularly drugs, not so much drinking, because obviously drinking is never medicinal. But smoking and using drugs can sometimes be a medicinal benefit to it. So cannabis, for example, is the biggest one that people say has a real medicine based or curing or healing based substance that people can use, and a lot of people will use it for if they've got cancer, for example, and they're in a lot of pain. They reckon that smoking marijuana can help, and it can help ease the pain. Methadone is a drug, or methadone is a drug, and people use that. You very often get given methadone in hospital to help you control your pain. Some people use that outside as well. So some people will use that as a drug purely to get high from it, but obviously some people will use that to control their pain levels if they're in an excruciating amount of pain. And what is quite interesting is that for people who are addicted and do have to go into hospital for any reason, meth or methadone tends to be their kind of how they come down off using those drugs, because they then become addicted to something else. Okay, so this is the answers to the which drug am I game. So have a look through, but see how many you got right. So obviously a couple of these, or one of these in particular, is helpful. Okay, it is not a drug that's used because it's addictive, and that's this one here, insulin. So that's used for people who are diabetic, and that's used to control their blood sugar levels. And then the other one is Ventolin for people who have asthma, and that's in your inhalers. Okay, so they're not always taken because they are addictive. Gas, another one. Laughing gas is very, very popular abroad at the moment. That is kind of the latest craze, is that people are taking laughing gas. That's used in, or it used to be, it's not so much anymore, but it's used in surgeries, so dental surgeries. You can have gas and air when you're in labour, when you're having a baby. So again, it's not always used because it's an addiction, but what people will do is that they will use all of this as a way to feed a drug addict or a drug addiction, and they will become addicted to it for reasons that are not medicinal or reasons that are not helpful. Okay, so they're just some drugs. It'd be interesting to see how many of you have heard of those. There's a couple on there that I'd never heard of. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how many of you got those right. And obviously a lot of these on here are known as other things, okay, and I couldn't tell you what the different names are for them, but yeah. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to send you another worksheet which has this on there, and it has all of the main drugs, I suppose you could say. So cannabis, LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, and amphetamines, which are the main drugs that are used within this country, and are all illegal substances. Okay, so I'm not going to send out this worksheet of this man because you can do this in your book. So what I want you to do is look at, using that information on there, the short-term and long-term dangers of taking those drugs, long-term and short-term risks of taking those drugs. So initially I want you to pick one, and then if you complete that, you can move on to a second one. So once you've looked at that and you've got your short-term and long-term, what I then want you to do is link those short-term and long-term to POIs. So if, for example, let's give you an example, let's get one up. Let's see. So here, amphetamines, it talks about aggressive behaviour. So that could be a short-term or a long-term impact, because that might happen very, very quickly after you've taken it. That might happen for a short period as you start coming down from taking the drug, or it might happen over a longer period of time after you've taken the drug. So let's say that you've put that as a short-term. So which one of the POIs would that affect? Now, for me, I would say that would affect probably your emotional, because your emotions are heightened. You're feeling aggressive, you're feeling angry. Little things are getting you angry. Things that you wouldn't normally get angry at are causing you to be aggressive. That would also potentially have an impact on your social development, because people may not want to be around you. If you've got a partner, they may not want to be around you. That may lead to an increase in the risk of domestic abuse, because you are becoming aggressive and you can't really control it. And it could also have an impact on your physical development, because you could end up hurting yourself by becoming aggressive if you're going around punching walls, for example. So that's just an example of what I want you to do there. Okay, and that is it for today's lesson. So obviously pause and unpause as and when you need to. Send me a picture of your completed lesson at the end. I am still waiting for assessments from people from last week. There's quite a few of you that are missing out on assessments from last week. What I will say, obviously, we are all extremely hopeful, and hopefully we will have more of an idea at the end of this week that we will be back in school on the 1st of June. Whether we are back on the 1st of June or not, what I do know is that you will be still sitting your end of year exams, whether that's done remotely or whether that's done in school. Obviously, we don't know that yet. But by not completing your assessments, you're making it very, very difficult to be able to attempt that assessment, that end of year exam, because all of your assessments will form a basis of that end of year exam. And I need to know how well that you know what we're doing, because otherwise, when we come back, I can't then plan to give you extra input on topics that you've not necessarily understood. So it's really, really key that you get those assessments to me. And I appreciate these lessons are coming very quick and very fast. But when I spoke to a few people on Thursday, a few people said they were struggling with how to manage their time and how to kind of manage their motivation levels. I have said to everybody that I spoke to and said that to, I am exactly the same as you. I am struggling to motivate myself at times. I don't want to, not that I don't want to get up in the morning, but I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock. I can't remember the last time I got up at 6 o'clock, probably Thursday actually, and it near enough killed me. But I am struggling to get myself motivated. So what I have started doing is setting myself, I have my running to-do list that I want to get done during the day. But what I have started doing is picking out 3 things that I need to definitely get done today. So I have now achieved all 3 things that were on my to-do list today. And it's 25 to 2 on Monday. So I can now go and do, you know, whatever I need to do now. I can work on some more work. I can go and have some free time. I can do whatever I need to do. And that's kind of how I'm motivating myself a little bit. So I've given that advice to a lot of people, to set yourself smaller goals. And, you know, we are here. We do understand that you are struggling. We do understand that it's difficult to motivate yourself. But it is really, really important that you are keeping up to date with any assessments that we are setting, so that we can assess you and we can make sure that you have understood the work that we're setting. And if you haven't, then when we come back, we can make sure that that is addressed. So I am going to end here, because I do like the sound of my own voice and I talk far too much. So yeah, I will speak to you all tomorrow, and hopefully I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.